Hello. So I was wondering, so what was the journey that where you guys learned to play the instruments and where did you like build up your experience to get to where you were when you were making those songs?
What was your experience? What was your journey like learning how to play music?
I started taking lessons on piano at 5 years old. I had this small Catholic nun with an iron bar that would hit my fingers every time I'd make a mistake, and she'd give me a gold star when I did well. And I took private lessons for about 6 or 7 years, and I actually started out on drums, and then worked my way over to keyboards. But as far as what inspired me, again, I have to go back to the 1970s progressive rock. That was my main inspiration. I don't know if that's Stan, what your inspiration was.
Yeah, I think I had a different musical background. I mean, I was always in bands, in school and all that, and then we would play in nightclubs later, and later we got into writing, but it was kind of like pop music, but like he said, kind of all of the above in terms of influences. I grew up on the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and all these great bands. It's just the music in the 70s was just awesome.
No kidding.
Yeah, that people talk about the 80s, but I mean, 70s was it. As far as not so much the disco, but
I guess we're sounding like old men here, but
yeah.
we grew up in what I think is the best era of music, where record companies were supporting bands, not looking for necessarily a hit single, but just to get a band with a unique sound and back them and back their tours and back their records. That's just not happening anymore, unfortunately. Right. But yeah, we had the luxury of growing up in an era where just about every song that came on the radio was unique. You could tell the bands apart from one another, whereas today I have a hard time telling one artist from another. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we were very lucky when the era we grew up in.
That's right.
Also, for a second question, if you could go back and remake the songs, do you think you could make them better? Is there stuff like when you go listen to the song, is there stuff you notice and they're like, oh, I could have, that might have sounded better, or this and that? Anything that could have if you could just redo the song, anything to just make it sound different?
Always. If you're ever happy, you should quit. I think that, no, it's you always beat yourself up, and just like I know Vince is probably as much of a perfectionist as I am, so that's that just comes with the territory. You try to do your best, and you try to get it right.
Yeah, it's a process that. As music technology advances, you think, wow, I wish I would have had that piece of gear back when we did that, whatever. But the perfectionistic thing, for me anyway, the older I get, the more it gets in the way, I have to say. It's like, why can't I just be satisfied with the way it is, and why do I have to keep working and working on it? But yeah, part of that is looking back and saying, I wish I would have done this and that to different songs, but there are some songs that I wouldn't change a thing about. I'm sure it's the same with Stan.
That's right. You capture that magic, and then that's it. The touch is that way. It's that song. I've tried over the years to beat the original, and I never have. Yeah.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Vince. Good afternoon, Stan.
Hey.
Well, first of all, just wanted to say that I'm a big fan of the music as well as the movie. I think it's like Star Wars for me. It's the music that enhances the movie for me. If it wasn't for your music, it would probably not have the same impact. And I've been also a big fan of your work, especially you, Mr. DiCola. You mentioned Rocky IV several times, and I'm a big fan of that soundtrack. The training montage was like a dark training montage almost. It's like almost not very typical of a training montage. And then the swelling that it happened after Hearts on Fire. That's you as well, right?
Yes.
When he went up the mountain.
Yes.
That was like the best part of the whole soundtrack for me. And then it was like only for like 2 minutes. So, and then also for Mr. For Stan, it's like, it's as you said, the 80s was a great time because anthemic music was it.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the most anthemic of anthemic music, pretty much, The Touch. But I have to admit, my favorite song was actually There, which is a combination of you both,
Yeah.
especially because of the song, and of course the synth in the middle, which is like a building up. And I know I have a question there somewhere, but yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to salute both of you. I mean, I'm a musician myself. I've been into hard rock, metal, and progressive as well. But from all the musicians, you two are two of my favorites, pretty much.
Thank you
Oh,
so
wow.
much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, thank you.
So my question is, when you mentioned that you play from storyboards, you didn't have like an actual animation when you were
Right.
making the music. Tell us what the process was. Do you look at like storyboard, like when you look at the storyboards, do they give you like sheets of paper with the drawing on it or with the things like that? How do you actually craft the music based on storyboards? Because I know it's hard.
It is very
Static
difficult.
images.
It's basically a comic book with numbers underneath it as to the length of the scene and pictures of, as best as they can put pictures together of the action that's taking place on every scene. But it's hard for me to connect to that. If it's not moving, it's just looking at comic books, basically, for me. And I did my best with it, and they were very happy with it. I have to say, looking back on the movie, and I just saw it recently, I think we saw it like a year ago again. Yeah. And there's definitely things that I would have done differently if I had seen the picture. But that doesn't mean it would have been better, Sometimes the process that you think is going to be the least successful ends up being the most successful, and I really lucked out with that. So, yeah, it was basically looking at comic books, trying to write music to comic books.
And that's actually why I salute you, because you were faced with harder circumstances as opposed to current musicians in making the music.
Yes.
But you still made one of the best soundtracks, not even in animation, but in movies.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm almost 50 years old. I grew up, I was a teenager when this movie was released. And up to now, it still makes an impact. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Technically, we have 2 minutes, but I don't want anybody to be denied the right to ask a question. So we're going to see how fast we can get through these last 3 people. So
Okay.
let's go for it.
Okay.
All right, try to be quick. So for Stan, I think The Touch was not going to be in Transformers originally. It was going to be a Stallone movie. Were you disappointed when that wasn't in there? And then, I guess, were you surprised how well it fit in the Transformers instead?
How well the original movie did? Was I surprised?
Or just The Touch being in Transformers versus the Stallone movie?
Oh, I see. Yeah, Michael Bay didn't use The Touch. It was supposed to be in the first live-action movie, and I don't know why, but it was just a couple weeks before the movie came out. They pulled it. I think it might have been some licensing issue. It could have been that. But anyway, yeah, I was a little disappointed. But sorry.
It's a crime.
Yeah, no, I thought it would have been really cool for the fans. I mean, just like I know Optimus Prime, the voice of Optimus. I mean, they overwhelming people wanted the man to do it. So it's just one of those things that didn't happen that way. But yeah, it's been great being associated with the Transformers brand all these years, and it's been cool. So yeah. But it's like he was saying, the Transformers games that had songs of mine in them, and I just did 2 Netflix videos for the Transformers, the new series on Netflix. The trilogy one, War for Cybertron. So,
Awesome.
But yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just wondering, do either one of you have any projects that are still on your bucket list that would be a dream to still work on?
On things that we'd like to do? Or?
Yes, Transformers related or not.
Well, just like the fellow a minute ago said, it'd be cool to do something together, So, yeah, thank you.
We're going to do something together somehow. We got to find a way. My dream project actually is going to probably come out later this year or early next year, and I've been working on it literally for over 20 years, and it's a piece of music called Figurehead. It's an hour long, and it encompasses all the styles of music, cinematic, progressive rock, everything that I've grown up being inspired by. And we're actually getting some very, very well-known players like Peter Gabriel's bass player, King Crimson's bass player, Genesis guitar player, who have agreed to play on this piece of music because they care about it that much, and we're very, very happy about that. But that's going to come out either later this year or early next year, and it's called Figurehead, so keep tuning in to hear more news about that.
Thank you, both of you, very much.
Thank you.
Big hand for our guests. Thank you.